Is there a relationship between correctional facilities and education? Lately, I've been thinking a lot about what my grandkids will have to do to be successful. They're lucky to have been born in America. They have college-educated parents. They have broad adult interaction in their lives in that we are a very close family with a ratio of adults to kids of 2-to-1. The parents own their own homes, and their parents are good citizens who value information and education. AI will have a major impact on many of us as it emerges and replaces professions right and left. Kids today will have to be more flexible when earning money than previous generations when they're ready to launch. They'll have to learn skills I can't begin to imagine, but that may come easily to them as they are native computer and internet users. Changing careers is hard, but for those of us who plan to work well into our 70s, having flexibility to change is great. I can't imagine working for 50 years or more doing the same work. It seems uninteresting, and as a mature person, I value different things than when I was younger. I no longer view my profession as a definition of who I am, and I work towards increasing my knowledge and contributing differently than I used to. I was considering the challenge public schools face with budgets. Recently, the public school system in a neighboring city had a teacher strike. It was a challenging time for everyone involved, and it went on for several weeks. The teachers wanted more pay, understandably. The parents wanted their kids back in school, understandably. The kids needed to be in school. Oregon is way behind the other states in catching up on missed education from the COVID-19 pandemic. I've always felt that if we wanted to have successful outcomes for all of our populations in America, we should focus on specific areas of social spending: healthcare, childcare, pre-K through high school education, and some publicly funded college education or trade schools. You may wonder why I feel so comfortable spending public funds on social programs like healthcare and education. I just think I'd rather have my neighbor have all the opportunity to thrive that I've had. And I'd rather have health care, child care, and education versus jails and prisons. You may wonder how I came up with this connection. I've always had a sense that jailing people is not a good use of public funds if we can circumvent incarceration with the support I've listed. Of course, there are people who must be incarcerated, but there are many people who sit in jail for low-level crimes they may never have committed if only they'd had the advantage of hope that some people have as part of their day-to-day lives. In America, the average cost to educate a student is about $12,000 annually, versus the cost to imprison an inmate, which costs just under $32,000 annually. The overall expenditure for education is greater because there are more kids than there are prisoners. There's about 49 million students, whereas there's about a couple million prisoners and nearly 3 million people on parole. And I'm no genius, but even I can see that the cost to incarcerate and the cost to monitor people on parole can add up. And I argue this cost can be reduced significantly if only we had the will to address the causes of incarceration. I always think about how to save money. One way to consider how money, time, and effort are saved is by looking to our elders and their proverbs. A stitch in time saves 9. If we can decide we prefer to prevent crime through good living, I think we can do this. But we must be motivated. Therefore, I'm providing some statistics knowing that nothing motivates more than statistics. Or as my spouse says, on average, 80% of statistics are wrong. High school dropouts are 3.5 times more likely to be incarcerated and are 63% more likely to be incarcerated than a person with a 4-year college degree. Prisoners who obtain education while incarcerated are 43% less likely to become incarcerated again. Imagine a kid who is being raised by a single mom. That's pretty easy to do. Most of us have a person in our life who is a single parent. Now imagine this mom lives in a community that offers child care at low or no cost. This mom can work, can provide food and shelter for her kid. Her child is part of the education system from a very young age. She knows how to navigate school programs and peers. She knows how to work with her teachers. When she arrives at pre-K, she is ready for show and tell. She thrives. After a while, the mother is able to take online classes at night for free, so she can change where and how she works. It's hard. It takes a long time, but she gets a 2-year degree and finds a job as a diagnostic medical sonographer. Her kid's doing well in school, she's well liked by her teachers and peers, and she's learning to read and do math. She's in an after-school child care program that is funded through taxes in her community. The parent continues to work and earn, building up funds over time to put a down payment on a house. She doesn't have to save money for college. She knows her daughter has the option of attending a 2-year college, a 4-year college, or a technical college once she completes high school because it's paid for by the community. Hope makes the mom and the kid perform well at work and at school because they know they can thrive. They live in a neighborhood that is working class. They don't have to worry too much about crime. Crime is low because the community is invested in healthcare and education. In fact, the community spent little on prisons because crime is down and incarcerations are rare. In Oregon, where I live, the cost per student annually is $11,000. The cost to house a prisoner is $44,000 annually. Of course, there are more students than prisoners, but if we support people and reduce the prison population, we could save $44,000 per year per prisoner. And some of that money could be used for educational support. Why don't we choose to fund schools over prisons? It seems complicated, but I think there are several things that can come into the conversation. People feel afraid, and they don't want dangerous people hanging around. Politicians are invested in for-profit prisons. For-profit prisons exist to earn money, not to rehabilitate prisoners. People have attitudes about public spending. For example, they don't feel as though they should pay for others to thrive. People imagine there is a class of people who routinely take advantage of social programs, and they don't want to support a program rife with corruption of the masses. Here's my argument to counter the arguments I just presented. A person in America is much more likely to be killed by someone they know. Stranger danger is a concern, but not as concerning as the person you live with. If we had rehabilitation versus prisons, people would be better at recovering from their time out. Instead, we have a system that is encouraged monetarily to keep people incarcerated, including politicians who are invested in for-profit prisons. Having your neighbor thrive means keeping your doors unlocked and not worrying about getting carjacked. It means having nice things for many, not just for a select few. Some people will take advantage, but by and large, people just want to thrive and survive. In areas where basic universal income has been tested, the recipients have done remarkably well, even with small amounts of income provided. By far, the amount of suffering caused by white-collar corruption is greater than the corruption of a few people who take advantage. Just look at Enron, Bernie Madoff, and the global financial crisis of 2007 and 8. Finally, from my own experience, taking advantage of the Affordable Care Act meant I could pursue avenues that would not have been available to me because I was tied to jobs that offered health insurance. Imagine a world of kids who grow up with the hope education, childcare, and affordable childcare can provide. Not everyone will be an innovator, but we don't need everyone to be an innovator. We need the truly brilliant to innovate. Innovation drives the economy, and that's a good thing. Strong economies provide good-paying jobs. Strong economies can easily afford excellent educational opportunities, affordable childcare, and healthcare. For the people who imagine a person taking advantage of a program designed to educate, provide healthcare, or affordable childcare, I think that's more of a reflection of their corrupt thinking than it is the reality of a healthy society.